Feathers McGraw, you have been found guilty of the attempted robbery of the Blue Diamond. If not for two upstanding citizens, you would have succeeded in your wicked plan.
The long-awaited return of the iconic inventor Wallace and his ever-loyal, ever-capable dog Gromit brings with it a shift in tone, scale, and emotional weight that fans have been anticipating for years. The new chapter arrives at a moment when stop-motion animation is more appreciated than ever, and this installment pushes further into character-driven storytelling, bringing back familiar faces while expanding the emotional range of the franchise. At the center is the reemergence of Feathers McGraw, a villain whose presence instantly signals mischief, clever deception, and a deeper conflict brewing beneath the charming plasticine aesthetic. Instead of leaning solely on comedy, the narrative draws on suspense and moral tension, showing how far the duo has come since their earlier adventures and how their world changes when past threats return with more purpose than before. The project positions itself as an evolution of everything fans love about the franchise: warmth, wit, eccentric inventions, and the seamless balance of humor and danger, but this time wrapped in a more ambitious storyline. From its opening moments, the film establishes a sense of unease by showing that the peaceful routines of Wallace's inventive life are slowly unraveling. Wallace, still driven by a constant stream of ideas and gizmos, finds himself increasingly reliant on automated systems he built to make life easier, only to discover that convenience comes with consequences. Gromit, who has always been the quiet guardian of the household, senses early on that something is wrong, noticing glitches, odd shadows, and subtle disruptions happening inside the workshop. This creeping tension becomes the backbone of the story, the idea that technological dependence, especially when used without caution, can create openings for old enemies to return. The film uses this theme not as a warning, but as a narrative device, allowing the familiar comedic chaos to coexist with suspenseful beats that keep the viewer guessing about what comes next. The reappearance of Feathers McGraw fuels most of the story's momentum, but rather than simply repeating past confrontations, the film constructs a more elaborate motive for the villain. The title suggests revenge, but the execution takes a layered approach, building his plan piece by piece as he infiltrates Wallace's world under the guise of harmless mechanical disruptions. Through this dynamic, audiences see the contrast between Wallace's good-natured innocence and Feathers' cold, calculated intelligence. Gromit becomes the emotional anchor again, forced into the role of detective, protector, and strategist when Wallace's inventions begin malfunctioning in ways that seem too deliberate to be accidental. This tension escalates gradually, allowing each sequence to build toward a larger mystery surrounding how Feathers escaped, what resources he has gathered, and why he has chosen this moment to confront his old adversaries. The storytelling leans heavily on visual cues and physical acting, consistent with the franchise's history of expressive silent comedy. At the heart of the narrative is Wallace's newest invention, a device that is meant to revolutionize everyday life, but instead becomes the key vulnerability that Feathers exploits. The concept of the invention is intentionally whimsical and absurd, staying true to the creative spirit of Wallace's mechanical imagination, yet the consequences of its misuse push the plot toward more dramatic territory. As the story progresses, the invention begins behaving unpredictably, causing small mishaps that evolve into larger, more hazardous situations. These sequences provide the film's signature blend of slapstick and heartfelt storytelling, demonstrating how Wallace's creativity, while brilliant, often lacks the practicality and foresight required to prevent chaos. Gromit's attempts to manage the fallout showcase his intelligence and emotional depth, framing him as the true stabilizing force behind their partnership. One of the most compelling aspects of the film is how it navigates the emotional journey between Wallace and Gromit. Their relationship has always been central to the franchise, but this installment treats it with more nuance. Wallace's stubborn optimism and trust in his creations begin to clash with Gromit's growing frustration and fear for their safety. This dynamic brings a subtle tension to their usually harmonious pairing, giving the audience room to reflect on how loyalty functions in a relationship built on mutual dependence. While Wallace's good intentions remain intact, his inability to recognize warnings leads Gromit to carry more weight than ever before. This internal struggle creates a richer emotional arc, giving viewers a chance to witness moments of vulnerability, doubt, and eventual reconciliation as the two navigate the escalating threat. As the plot intensifies, the film widens its scope beyond the household, showcasing a larger world filled with new characters, bustling environments, and comedic side encounters that add texture without overshadowing the main storyline. The supporting cast offers a mix of friendly faces and potential suspects, each contributing humor or misdirection that keeps the narrative unpredictable. Some characters are drawn into the chaos unwillingly, providing reactions that reflect how Wallace's inventions often impact the community around him. Others become more actively involved, helping Gromit piece together clues about Feathers' plan. These elements give the story a sense of scale and consequence, showing that the conflict extends beyond a personal grudge. The tension reaches a turning point when Feathers McGraw finally steps into the spotlight, revealing the full extent of his strategy. His return is crafted with dramatic precision, utilizing silence, physical expression, and visual framing to re-establish him as a formidable antagonist. His cold, unblinking demeanor contrasts sharply with the bright, tactile world around him, making every appearance feel deliberate and unsettling. Rather than relying on dialogue, the filmmakers use movement, staging, and intricate facial expressions to communicate his motivations, staying consistent with his iconic portrayal. The confrontation between Feathers and the duo becomes a battle of wits, inventions, and timing, with Gromit carrying the tactical lead, while Wallace attempts to understand the magnitude of the situation unfolding around him. The story's final act elevates the stakes to the highest point, blending tension, humor, and emotional payoff. Gromit is forced into a position where he must rely on his instincts and abilities more than ever, stepping into the role of both defender and strategist. Wallace, meanwhile, undergoes a moment of clarity when he recognizes the unintended consequences of his invention and decides to take responsibility, contributing in his own unpredictable way to the effort to stop Feathers. The climactic sequence uses dynamic physical set pieces, fast-paced chases, and cleverly designed mechanical traps, all executed with the precision and charm expected of the franchise. Each beat feels crafted to honor the legacy of the characters while pushing them into new emotional territory. The resolution of the story not only delivers a satisfying conclusion to the conflict, but also reaffirms the bond between Wallace and Gromit. The aftermath focuses on the rebuilding of trust, the rebalancing of their roles, and the reaffirmation of their mutual reliance. Wallace acknowledges the flaws in his creations and the ways his enthusiasm can blur his judgment, while Gromit opens the door for renewed partnership without resentment. Their dynamic ultimately becomes stronger, shaped by the adversity they face together. Feathers' fate is handled with a blend of humor and narrative closure, leaving room for interpretation while providing a clear sense of consequence for his actions. The film closes with a mixture of lighthearted charm and quiet reflection, offering an emotional and cinematic payoff that feels earned. Beyond the narrative itself, the project represents a significant milestone for stop-motion filmmaking. The meticulous craftsmanship, attention to detail, and blend of traditional techniques with modern enhancements underscore the continued relevance of the medium. The film highlights how tactile animation can deliver emotional depth and visual intricacy in ways that maintain a handmade authenticity. Each frame carries the signature imperfections and texture associated with clay animation, preserving the identity of the franchise while demonstrating technical evolution. This commitment to artistic integrity reinforces why Wallace and Gromit remain beloved across generations. The excitement surrounding the project stems not only from nostalgia, but from the promise of a story that respects its roots while embracing new creative directions. Longtime fans will recognize the familiar humor, expressive character animation, and inventive mechanical chaos that define the series. New audiences will find a self-contained adventure filled with warmth, tension, and personality. The film positions itself as a modern re-entry point for the franchise, bridging classic charm with contemporary storytelling sensibilities. The thematic exploration of invention, responsibility, and loyalty gives it a resonance that extends beyond its comedic surface. For viewers, the anticipation centers on seeing how these characters adapt to evolving circumstances, how the new challenges shape their identities, and how the return of a formidable antagonist adds weight to their journey. Each update surrounding the film has highlighted a commitment to delivering an experience that feels both nostalgic and progressive. The combination of humor, suspense, and heartfelt storytelling forms the foundation of what promises to be one of the most impactful entries in the franchise's history. The project stands as a celebration of creativity, craftsmanship, and enduring character relationships. Taken together, all of these elements form a cohesive picture of a film designed to deliver both entertainment and emotional depth. It reinforces the legacy of Wallace and Gromit while pushing the narrative boundaries of the universe they inhabit. The blend of returning characters, heightened stakes, thematic maturity, and handcrafted artistry positions the project as an important chapter in the ongoing evolution of stop-motion animation. Every detail, from character dynamics to inventive set pieces, contributes to a story that feels simultaneously familiar and freshly ambitious, making it a significant moment for fans and the medium alike.